Who steps up in 26?
Finally took shape in January 2017 when football's governing body voted to expand the tournament.
The moments we made our own, cities being taken over, posters on every.
This group stage, then round of 16. It now goes like this: group stage, round.
Imagine surviving 3 intense group matches, celebrating because you think your World Cup dream is still alive, and then spending the next several hours glued to scoreboards from games happening hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Your fate is suddenly in the hands of teams you've never faced. One extra goal in another stadium could send you into the knockout stage, or end your tournament before you even step onto the pitch again. That scenario simply wasn't possible at previous FIFA World Cups. For decades, the path was easy to understand. Finish in the top 2 of your group, and your reward was a place in the round of 16. Finish third, and your journey ended there. Fans knew the formula. Players understood the objective, and every tournament followed the same familiar rhythm. Now, that rhythm has been rewritten. The 2026 FIFA World Cup is not just larger than every edition before it, it's built around a completely different roadmap. With 48 national teams instead of 32, football's biggest competition has entered an entirely new era. And perhaps the biggest change isn't the number of countries involved, it's what happens after the group stage. For the first time ever, there is a round of 32. At first glance, adding one extra knockout round might not sound revolutionary, but think of it like adding another level to the world's toughest mountain climb. Every team now has another obstacle standing between them and the trophy. Every favorite must survive one more elimination game. Every underdog receives another chance to create history. That single adjustment changes almost everything. The old tournament structure simply couldn't handle 48 participants. Imagine trying to fit 48 puzzle pieces into a picture designed for only 32. Something had to change. FIFA's solution was to expand not only the group stage, but also the knockout bracket. The tournament now features 12 groups of 4 teams instead of 8. Once those groups conclude, qualification no longer belongs exclusively to the teams finishing first and second. Every group winner advances. Every runner-up advances. Then comes the twist that has kept millions of fans refreshing live tables throughout the group stage. The 8 best third-place teams also move on. That creates exactly 32 nations ready for the first knockout round. It sounds straightforward, but the race for those final places is where things become fascinating. Instead of competing only against the 3 teams in your own group, every third-place finisher suddenly enters another competition entirely. Picture 12 students from different classrooms taking the same final exam. Only the 8 highest scores continue. It doesn't matter which classroom they came from. They are ranked together using points, goal difference, goals scored, and, if necessary, additional tiebreakers. That means your performance is no longer judged only by your own group. You're competing against countries you've never even played. Suddenly, a late consolation goal matters. Avoiding one extra goal against can matter. Scoring in stoppage time can matter. A single moment can separate qualification from elimination. That's why the closing days of the group stage have felt dramatically different from previous World Cups. Fans weren't just watching their own nation anymore. They were calculating goal differences, cheering for unexpected results, and tracking matches taking place in completely different cities. The tension spread across the entire tournament. Even games that appeared unrelated suddenly became deeply connected. And once those 32 teams are confirmed, another unique challenge begins. Unlike previous tournaments where every knockout matchup became obvious as soon as the groups ended, this expanded format introduces far more uncertainty. Certain group winners can only discover their opponent after several other groups have finished, because the identity of the qualifying third-place teams changes the bracket itself. Imagine preparing for one of the biggest matches of your life without even knowing who you'll play. Coaches must study multiple possible opponents, players must wait, supporters speculate. The bracket remains alive until the final group stage whistle. That uncertainty creates another layer of suspense that simply never existed under the old system. Then comes the football itself, because once the round of 32 begins, there are no second chances. Everything that happened during the group stage becomes history. Points disappear. Goal difference no longer matters. Reputation means nothing. One mistake, one counterattack, one brilliant save, one magical free kick. That alone decides whether your World Cup continues or ends. This is where the tournament transforms from a marathon into a series of sprints. For established giants like Argentina, Brazil, Germany, and other traditional contenders, the challenge becomes even greater. Winning the World Cup now requires surviving one additional knockout match compared with previous editions. Over a month-long tournament, that extra 90 minutes, or even 120-plus penalties, can have enormous physical and mental consequences. Every additional game increases fatigue. Every additional game raises the risk of injuries. Every additional game creates another opportunity for a shock result. And football has never been short of surprises. History is filled with moments where favorites collapsed when nobody expected it. The beauty of knockout football is that reputations don't score goals. Performances do. That is exactly why many supporters believe the expanded format could produce even more unforgettable underdog stories. Smaller nations now have an extra route into the knockout rounds. Countries that previously would have packed their bags after finishing third suddenly have hope. Hope changes tactics. Hope changes confidence. Hope changes belief. Instead of settling for respectable defeats, teams know they may still have a realistic path forward. That psychological shift alone has already influenced how many nations approached their final group matches. Of course, not everyone agrees that bigger automatically means better. Some critics argue that allowing third-place finishers into the knockout stage reduces the achievement of qualifying. Others believe the opposite. More knockout matches mean more pressure, more drama, and more unforgettable moments. It's similar to expanding the playoffs in other sports. Some fans miss the exclusivity of the old system. Others embrace the added excitement because every extra elimination game creates another chapter of sporting history. Football will ultimately decide which side is right. Individual storylines make this even more compelling. Veteran stars understand that every match could be their last appearance on the world's biggest stage. Meanwhile, the next generation sees this tournament as the perfect opportunity to announce themselves. That's what makes knockout football so emotional. One generation tries to protect its legacy. Another tries to replace it. Those stories now collide much earlier than before because of the expanded bracket. Beyond the players, supporters have experienced the tournament differently as well. More nations mean more cultures, more fans filling stadiums, more unforgettable celebrations, more emotional heartbreak. The World Cup has always claimed to represent the entire football world. With 48 participants, that vision has become closer to reality than ever before. Of course, a larger tournament also creates new challenges. The calendar grows longer, travel becomes more demanding, recovery becomes more difficult. Every additional fixture places another physical burden on players competing at the highest level during the hottest weeks of the North American summer. Those concerns are real, but so is the excitement. Every major expansion in World Cup history was questioned before it began. When the competition increased from 16 to 24 teams, critics predicted weaker football. When it expanded again to 32 teams in 1998, many feared the tournament would lose its quality. Instead, those additions produced unforgettable moments that fans still celebrate decades later. Perhaps the round of 32 will follow the same path. Perhaps years from now, fans will struggle to imagine a World Cup without it. Or perhaps this experiment will continue to divide opinion. Either way, football history is being written in real time. This isn't simply another edition of the World Cup. It's the beginning of a completely different era. From this point forward, every knockout match carries even greater weight because every champion must now survive one extra battle before lifting football's most famous trophy. The road has become longer. The pressure has become greater. The opportunities have become bigger, and so have the dreams. Now, the only question left is whether this expanded format will create even more legendary World Cup moments, or whether fans will eventually wish the old system had never changed. What do you think? Does the new round of 32 make the FIFA World Cup more exciting, or do you prefer the classic format? Let me know your prediction in the comments and which team you believe has the best chance of becoming the first champion to conquer this brand new path to football immortality.